Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It is a beautiful Monday, and we have an absolute mountain of drama to unpack today. Grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's just dive right into the absolute chaos that is unfolding on our screens this week because, wow, things are getting wild. So let's talk about Monday, July 27th. I just finished watching the episode, and honestly, my head is still spinning. I have been covering this show for a long time, and I am honestly a bit tired today staring at this screen, but I just have to get these thoughts out. We need to talk about Steffy Forrester Finnegan, because what in the world is she doing? Steffy literally stormed into the house of Logan today. She got in her car, drove all the way across town, marched into a rival company's building without an invitation, and barged right into the enemy's headquarters just to scream at Hope Logan Spencer. I mean, think about that for a second. Think about how crazy that is. Hope quit. Hope left Forrester Creations. She is gone. She works for the competition now under Katie Logan Spencer. Steffy never has to share a hallway, a boardroom, or a coffee machine with Hope ever again. But Steffy just couldn't let it go. She couldn't. She marches in there, full of aggressive energy, and just starts blasting Hope for dividing the two families and starting this massive fashion war. And the promo gave us that absolute killer line. Steffy looks at Hope and says, "You pulled the pin on a grenade and started a war." Okay, that sounded dramatic, but you get what I mean. It was a great line. The writers definitely gave Jacqueline McInnes with some spicy dialogue there, but let's be real here for a second. Is Steffy actually right? Because Hope didn't even flinch. And that is the part that I am absolutely loving right now. Hope was completely unfazed. She just stood there, icy and calm, and looked right back at Steffy. Hope didn't back down an inch. She just calmly replied, "I am here now, where I am truly welcome." And then she twisted the knife, adding that she is finally out from under your thumb. Short punches. That is all Hope needed. Just a few calm words to completely disarm Steffy's screaming match. And I am so here for this new, confident Hope. I really am. I know some fans on social media are divided, but it is so refreshing to see Hope just standing her ground and being so sure of herself. She hasn't done anything wrong. She is just focusing on her career, like any woman her age would do when they feel unappreciated at their current job. The time at Logan, the success on the runway, it has given Hope this armor. When Steffy starts yelling and barking orders, Hope just remains calm. She holds her ground against her former boss. If Steffy keeps acting like this, flying off the handle and losing her cool, there really isn't going to be much hope left for Forrester Creations. Pun intended, I guess. But seriously, let's zoom out and talk about the bigger pattern here. Why is Steffy, the co-CEO of Forrester Creations, picking this specific fight right now? What is she actually doing to solve the real crisis sitting on her own desk? Because if we look back at last week, specifically July 20th, Eric Forrester created a public relations disaster of epic proportions. Eric stood in front of live cameras at his own highly anticipated haute couture launch and had a total meltdown. He called the House of Logan thieves. He mocked them on a live stream, calling their rival label cheap knockoffs. It was a total disaster. Ridge Forrester literally had to drag his own father away from the microphone while the cameras were still rolling. That footage went viral. That footage did more damage to the Forrester reputation than any dress Hope could ever sew over at Logan. The whole narrative around Eric's disastrous haute couture launch is exactly what Steffy should be dealing with. That PR failure was entirely self-inflicted by the Forrester family. So why is Steffy at the Spencer building yelling at a designer who already quit? It is deflection, pure and simple deflection. It is so much easier for Steffy to scream at Hope and blame her for everything than to admit that her own grandfather is destroying their brand's legacy on live television. If Steffy really wanted to protect her family's legacy, she would be doing damage control inside her own building. Yelling at a rival designer in a lobby doesn't erase a viral scandal. It just makes you look desperate. And the fans on social media are definitely noticing. The fandom is completely split down the middle right now. Half the viewers are cheering for Steffy. They call it loyalty. They say she is a fierce daughter defending her family's legacy against a woman who smiled while hiding a massive betrayal. They think Steffy has every right to be furious. But the other half of the fans, they keep repeating one word over and over, bully. They are calling Steffy a bully. And maybe I'm being too harsh, but I kind of agree with them today. Hope created distance. Hope walked away. Yet Steffy still seeks her out in someone else's house just to punish her for leaving. It feels like bullying. It feels like Steffy just cannot stand the fact that she lost control over Hope. And you have to wonder what the writers are thinking here. Are they setting Steffy up for a massive fall? Because in daytime soaps, when a character gets this unhinged while their rival stays perfectly calm, it usually means the screaming character is about to face some serious karma. Hope's eerie calmness feels intentional. It feels like a warning. If I am reading the writers right, Steffy's promise to make Hope pay is going to backfire so badly. Honestly, the fans calling for a restraining order to keep the Forresters out of the Spencer building might not be too far off from reality soon. And we can't even talk about this confrontation without talking about the absolute state of the two families right now. The collateral damage of this fashion war is just staggering. The families are completely fracturing. Look at the Logan sisters. A few episodes ago, Brooke came back from her wellness retreat, and she was somehow angrier than when she left. On Friday, July 24th, Brooke literally disowned Katie. She stood there and told her own sister that they are no longer family. Over a fashion line, Brooke is acting completely unhinged. Katie went to the Forrester mansion, practically begging for forgiveness, trying to offer an olive branch to Eric, and she was just shunned. Everyone in that room just turned their backs on her. The Logan sisterhood is shattered. And then there is the violence. Oh my gosh, the violence. We have to talk about what happened at the bikini bar. The tension between the younger generation just exploded. Will Spencer and R.J. Forrester got into a massive brawl. Will was heavily intoxicated, spiraling because he lost Elektra. R.J., being the smug guy he is right now, basically instigated it. And when Will threw a punch, R.J. ducked and Will accidentally punched Eric Forrester right in the face. He gave Eric a black eye. So Eric is sitting at the Forrester mansion, battered and bruised, refusing to forgive Katie or the Spencers. Ridge is declaring an all-out blood feud against the Spencer family. Donna got publicly humiliated and fired by Eric just for keeping Katie's secret. The Forrester mansion is a literal disaster zone of trauma and anger right now. And yet, where is Steffy? Where is the leader of Forrester Creations during all this family trauma? She is across town, yelling at Hope. Make it make sense, you guys. Just make it make sense. It is just so frustrating to watch sometimes. You want to shake these characters. Steffy is fighting the wrong enemy in the wrong building. My stance on this is pretty straightforward. Steffy's anger is real, and it is valid to feel betrayed, but her target is completely embarrassing. Hope didn't burn Forrester to the ground. She just walked out the door. The Forrester family's reaction since then has been a masterclass in self-sabotage. From the live TV meltdown to the beach bar brawl, they are destroying themselves. Invading a rival's lobby doesn't project strength. It projects a company that is completely losing its grip on public reality. And Hope knows it. Hope just needed one calm sentence to own the entire room, and she knew it. Where I am truly welcome, let that sink in. She is finally in a place where she isn't second-guessed, where her line isn't paused indefinitely, where she isn't treated like a burden. Katie gave Hope creative control and respect. Steffy gave her ultimatums and delays. Of course, Hope is happier at Logan, who actually believes this was going to end any other way. But the drama doesn't stop there, because while Steffy is screaming at Hope, Will Spencer is dealing with his own absolute nightmare. Let's pivot to Will for a second, because his storyline is just getting messy by the minute. After losing Elektra and after the horrifying mistake of punching Eric, Will just completely spiraled. He buried his pain in alcohol. And who was waiting in the wings to pick up the pieces? Melissa Dillon. I used to think Dillon was just an opportunist, and maybe she is. But I am starting to think she might actually be a better match for Will than Elektra ever was. Elektra just demands perfection and loyalty to the Forrester name, but Dillon actually showed up when Will was at his lowest. She was worried about him. Will kept insisting he wanted to be alone in the dark, drinking his pain away, but Dillon saw he wasn't okay. But of course, Will was drunk, and when he woke up the next morning, the regret was instant. The spoilers for tomorrow's show will looking absolutely sick with regret over this drunken one-night stand, while Dillon is just beaming. She is thrilled. She finally got her prince. And this leads to Wyatt Spencer getting involved. Wyatt is back, and he is already questioning Will about Elektra and Dillon. Wyatt is basically acting as the voice of reason, which is hilarious given his own messy romantic history with Flo and Sally. Wyatt warns Will that he is playing a very dangerous game. And Wyatt is right. When Elektra finds out that Will slept with Dillon, who is supposed to be her friend, it is going to be explosive. If Will thought he made a huge mistake by punching Eric, just wait until the fallout from this one-night stand hits the fan. It just feels like every single character on this show is making the worst possible decisions right now. Will is sleeping with the enemy's friend. Steffy is abandoning her CEO duties to scream at former employees. Brooke is disowning her sister. RJ is manipulating everyone to look like the golden boy. It is a beautiful, chaotic mess, and I am honestly glued to the screen even when it frustrates me. Sometimes I wonder how the writers are going to resolve this Forrester versus Spencer feud. In soap operas, disownments and blood feuds are rarely permanent. Eventually, someone is going to have to wave a white flag. But right now, nobody is backing down. Ridge wants Will in jail. Eric refuses to forgive Katie. Steffy wants to crush Hope. And Bill Spencer. Bill is probably just sitting in his office laughing at all of them, loving every second of the Forrester family's public implosion. I am really curious to see what Katie does next. She is terrified right now. She knows that if Will gets arrested for assaulting Eric, especially with his drinking problem, it could destroy the new Logan Creations brand before it even gets off the ground. Katie is desperate to fix this, but she is fighting a losing battle. It is going to take something massive for Will to redeem himself. Maybe it will involve Remy Price, or maybe even Sheila Carter will somehow get dragged into this mess. Who knows anymore? But bringing it back to Steffy and Hope, that confrontation today was everything. It set the tone for the rest of the summer. Steffy is unhinged and desperate for control. Hope is calm, liberated, and dangerous. I want to know what you guys think. Are you Team Steffy or Team Hope? Is Steffy justified in defending her family's honor? Or is she just a bully who can't handle rejection? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's get a debate going. I know the battle lines are already drawn, but I love hearing your theories. Alright, I need to step away from the screen for a bit before my eyes cross. I'll be back tomorrow with more updates. Stay bold, stay beautiful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.